What maketh a race? To people in China, the Chinese constitute a single race, except, that is, for those Chinese who aren't Chinese, those who aren't of the dominant Han group, like the Miao or the Yao or the Zhuang or whatever. They belong to separate races. To the Japanese, who certainly think of themselves as a race, the Chinese, Indians, and Koreans are all separate races. To the Koreans, the Filipinos are. To the Filipinos, the Vietnamese, and so on. To the Anglos who founded the United States, the Irish, who arrived in great waves in the early 19th century, were a separate race. To the Germans who killed Jews in this century, and the French who watched, the Jews were a separate race. To the blacks of America, the Anglos and the Irish and Germans and the French and the Jews have always ended up being part of the same and separate race. What maketh the race is not God, but man. What maketh the race is only the sin of self-love.
When people say to me that Martin Luther King Hospital is a black hospital, I want to know exactly what do they mean by that. Do you mean it's not working very well? And if it was a white hospital, it would work better? What do you mean by that?
It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a black institution. It has to do with the fact that the reputation for care is not a good one. And many in the community know that this has become an institution primarily concerned with race over medical care.
Blacks and whites, as much as there is this story or narrative out there about the oppressed and the oppressor, they actually are the ones that have delivered to all of us the conditions under which we live today. I don't see many opportunities for voices that come from a space that are neither black nor white to be heard.
There were no Latin immigrants in North Carolina when I was growing up. This is a recent invasion, deliberate, displacing native North Carolinians with alien North Carolinians. And we've always welcomed people here to visit, but they're staying and they're impacting on our society.
I say 5 more years, it's gonna be like LA. I used to see in LA when I walked in at that time. They used to say, "Oh, look at a gringo be around," and we clap, and we're happy to see a gringo around because we don't used to see them. You know, the same thing's gonna happen here, because now the only thing you see around here is the Hispanic people.
What appalls me is the premature wishful thinking that posits the notion of color blindness, or that we've somehow overcome our early history of race. Because it's not only a lie, it's a willed ignorance, as James Baldwin said.
The government cannot provide a benefit to anyone in America under the 14th Amendment based upon their race, or exclude anyone based upon their race.
Calling Hawaiians a race and therefore wiping out their programs is the next step to then ask, are Alaskan natives a race? Are Native Americans are they a race? And what justification do they have to be treated specially and independently?
It's a crazy generational change right now, you know?
Yeah.
I feel it.
Me too.
There's no documenting it or anything, but I mean, I know that when Ashley and Chance are my age, we're just gonna see amazing things. It's a world full of spectators, you know? Are you gonna sit down and watch, or are you gonna play?
Gonna play.